Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Vanarottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nestiki. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Thank you. Namaha Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivas Adigaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Good morning. This morning we will be discussing from Canto 5, Chapter 12. We are discussing the conversation between King Rahugana and Jadabharata. Uh, Previously, we saw how Bharat Maharaj, son of Rishabdev, um, was reached to the stage of bhava, but then got attached to a deer and left his body in that state. And so, in that because of that attachment and remembrance of the deer at the time of death, he attained the body of a deer. But by Krishna's grace, he remembered his past lives, his past life, and his devotion to Krishna. And so he, when he gave up the body of a deer, he again got the opportunity to take human birth in the family of a Brahmana. And then he was extremely careful in that human birth. It is said that he avoided association even with family members, cousins who were not devotees. He was extremely careful to not make any mistake which would cause his fall down again. And in this birth, he was again Bharat, and he came to be known as Jada Bharat. So Jada Bharat was serving King Rahugana by pulling his palanquin, but he was trying to avoid ants, and he was slow. He was not keeping up with the other palanquin holders, and so Rahugana chastised him sarcastically with some sharp words. And so initially, Jada Bharat tolerated, but then when Rahugana wanted to punish him, that's when Jada Bharat retaliated. Well, not retaliated, but in order to instruct the king, teach the king dharma, teach the king that, or to break the ego, to shatter the ego and the pride of the king, Jada Bharat decided to give him some important, heavy instructions. So yesterday, in the previous chapter, 11th chapter, Jada Bharat begins his instructions by explaining the position of the soul in the material world, material life, how to escape material life, and ultimately he ends with the power of the uncontrolled mind and the importance of controlling the mind. That's what Premamrita discussed about yesterday. So Jada Bharat ends 11th chapter by saying that the mind can only be controlled by the weapon of service to Guru and Krishna. Weapon of service, lotus feet of a spiritual master and supreme personality of God. Do this with great care. That's what Jada Bharat says. So now in this chapter, chapter number 12, we continue the conversation between Maharaj Rahugana and Jada Bharat. We see that because Rahugana was a king, and not only because he was a king, because he was so deeply engrossed in his material life, and because he was so deeply proud, extremely proud of himself being a king, and he forgot his duty as a king. A king is supposed to be a representative of God. And so because he was so dull-headed, he could not understand the instructions of Jada Bharat initially, immediately. And so he asks again, he requests Jada Bharat again to explain some of the things. So we will begin with verse number 1, translations, and then all the way up to verse 5 and 6, which we will expand upon. So we can take turns to read translations, and after each translation, we will comment on it.
King Rahugana said, "O most exalted personality, you are not different from the supreme. You are not different from the supreme personality of Godhead. By the influence of your true self, all kinds of contradiction in the Shastras have been removed. In the dress of a friend of a Brahmana, you are hiding your transcendental blissful position. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you."
So can we scroll up once again? He says, you are not different from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Sanskrit word used in this verse is Karana Vigrahaya, which means one who has attained their body from Karana, from the cause of all causes. So Jada Bharat is being addressed as someone who has attained his own body from the cause of all causes. So how is that? Because we understand that Krishna is the cause of all causes, as mentioned in Brahma Samhita, Ishvara Paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha Anadarādhar Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. So Krishna is the cause of all causes. And Rishabh Dev is a direct incarnation of Krishna. So Rishabh Dev is also the cause of all causes. And Bharat Maharaj is a son of Rishabh Dev, and he got his body from Rishabh Dev. And so therefore, Bharat Maharaj is kept on that same platform. He says he has gotten his body from the cause of all causes, which is Rishabh Dev or Krishna. And so Rahugana at least came to this point because Jada Bharat in the previous verse told him that in order to deal with your mind, serve the Guru and Krishna. So now Rahugana is kind of accepting Jada Bharat as his Guru. So he's accepting him as Guru and he's addressing him as the Supreme Lord to give him that respect. Next verse.
O best of the Brahmanas, my body is filled with dirty things, and my vision has been bitten by the serpent of pride. Due to my material conceptions, I am diseased. Your nectarian instructions are the proper medicine for one suffering from such a fever, and they are cooling waters for one scorched by the heat.
So Rahugana says, my body is filled with dirty things. What are these dirty things? Anyone? Sorry? What's that? Anarthas? Okay. Blood, stool, pus, urine, bone, hair. Yes. All these gross, terrible, horrible things within the body that constitute the body, which externally looks very beautiful because of the packing of the skin. But internally it's just a sack of, as Prabhupada says many times, sack of all these abominable things, right? Blood, stool, urine, and so on. And so Rahugana accepts that. He says, my body is made of all these dirty things. And due to my material conceptions, I am diseased. Srila Prabhupada writes that if we understand that the body is made of all these things, and if, because people in the world are usually living their lives based on bodily conception, they do not believe in something higher. And so, why can't they create another human being using all these materials, ingredients that is available in surplus in the world? You can take some blood, some bone, and can you create a human being? So Prabhupada challenges that in the purport. He says that because of this bodily conception, the entire world is living under this material conception of a hellish life. And it's a hellish life for the gentleman, he says. So a gentleman, basically a person who is practicing Krishna consciousness, who is aspiring to become a devotee. For that person, living in a world full of material and bodily conception is like hellish life. And then he says, Rahugana says, my vision has been bitten by the serpent of pride. This is the vision of a materialistic person who is very proud. But what is the vision of a learned devotee, learned person? Anyone? What is the vision of a learned person, of a devotee? Like, yes, Pandita Samadarshana, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that the learned person does not make distinctions between different types of bodies because he sees the same super soul within each body. And so Rahugana accepts that my vision has been bitten by the serpent of pride. When one is proud, they make distinctions that this is me, I'm the king, This is a lowly Dvijabandhu, Jadabharat, and so he felt free to chastise him. But the actual vision of a devotee should be samadarshana, that there is internally no difference between this person and me. And so there is no cause of, there is no reason that one is higher or lower. So gradually Rahugana is coming to these realizations. Next verse.
Whatever doubts I have about you, about a particular subject matter, I shall ask you about later. For the time being, these mysterious yoga instructions you have given me for self-realization appear very difficult to understand. Please repeat them in a simple way so that I can understand them. My mind is very inquisitive, and I want to understand this clearly.
Here we see Rahugana is requesting Jadabharat to repeat his instructions in a clear way because he could not understand them. He is inquisitive and he is not giving up. He really wants to learn, he really wants to know. So what is the qualification for receiving transcendental knowledge that we see in Bhagavad Gita? Yes, submission, surrender. There are three aspects. Yes. So what are the three aspects? What are the three things needed?
Approach a spiritual master, inquire from him, submissively render service unto him.
Yes.
Am I missing something?
Inquisitive, pariprashne, ask questions.
Yeah,
Yes.
inquire.
Yes. So, pranipatena, which is surrender, pariprashnena, which is ask questions, inquisitiveness, and sevaya, service. So these three things are required. Following these three things make one qualified to receive transcendental knowledge from a real guru. And so that's what Rahugana is trying to do, trying to be inquisitive, trying to surrender and ask questions. Next verse.
O master of yogic power, you said that fatigue resulting from moving the body here and there is appreciated by direct perception, but actually there is no fatigue. It simply exists as a matter of formality. By such inquiries and answers, no one can come to the conclusion of the absolute truth. Because of your presentation of this statement, my mind is a little disturbed.
In the previous chapter, or maybe 2 chapters before, when Jadabharat was carrying the palanquin of Rahugana, Rahugana was sarcastic while chastising him, and Rahugana said, "Oh, you must be very tired, so please take some rest." To which Jadabharat replied that what I am is actually the soul, and for the soul there is no labor. The soul does not perform any labor, any hard work, and so I'm free from lethargy. I'm free from any labor, being tired, any fatigue. And this point disturbed Rahugana. He could not understand what this means because he strongly believed that the body is all in all. Rahugana did not have knowledge of the soul, and that's why he says that your presentation of this statement, my mind is a little disturbed. And next we will see that Jadabharat will enlighten him with further knowledge.
The self-realized Brahmana, Jadabharat, said...
We will do the Sanskrit on this one.
Oh, you're going to do Sanskrit.
It's 2 verses combined, so I'll read both of them, and then we can repeat the first one. Brahmana uvacha ayam jano nama chalan prithivyam ya parthiva kasya heto Tasyapi changryoradikulpa jangha Januru madhyora shirodharamsa Amshedi dharve sibika chayasyam Savira rajetyapadesha aste Yasmin bhavan rudhanijabhimano Rajasmi sindhu shviti dharmadanda. Please repeat the first verse. Brahmana uvacha Ayam jano nama chalan prithivya Ya parthiva parthiva yasya keto. Yes. Janur madhyor shirodharamsa Brahmana uvacha Anojalam yamachalan prithivya Yaha parthiva parthiva kasya heto Tasyapi changrya radigulpa janga Janur madhyor shirodharansa. Men. Ayam jano nama chalan prithivya Yah parthiva parthiva vyasya heto Tasyapi changrya radigulpa jangha Januru madhyor shirodharamsa. Synonyms together. Brahmana uvacha. Together, please. Brahmana uvacha, the Brahmana said, I am this Janaha person, Nama celebrated as such, Chalan moving, Prithivyam on the earth, Yaha who, Parthiva a transformation of the earth, Parthiva, O king who possesses a similar earthly body. What? Heto reason, Tasya api of him also, Cha and Angryo feet, Adhi above, Gulfa ankles, Changa calves, Janu knees, Uru thighs, Madhyora waist, Shirahadhara neck, Amsa shoulders, Amse shoulder, Adhi upon, Darvi made of wood, Shibika palanquin, Cha and, Yasyam on which, Savira Raja the king of Savira, Iti thus, Apadesha known as, Aste there is, Yasmin in which, Bhavan your lordship, Rudha imposed upon, Nija Abhimana having a conception of false prestige, Raja Asmi I am the king, Sindhushu in the state of Sindhu, Iti thus, Durmada Anda captivated by false prestige. Translation. and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Ki Jai. Please repeat after me. The self-realized Brahmana Jadabharat said, among the various material combinations and permutations, there are various forms and earthly transformations. For some reason, these move on the surface of the earth and are called palanquin carriers. Those material transformations which do not move are gross material objects like stones. In any case, the material body is made of earth and stone in the form of feet, ankles, calves, knees, thighs, torso, throat, and head. Upon the shoulders is the wooden palanquin, and within the palanquin is the so-called king of Savira. The body of the king is simply another transformation of earth. But within that body, your lordship is situated. And falsely thinking that you are the king of the state of Savira. Jadabharat is not messing around. He's being heavy. Purport. After analyzing the material bodies of the palanquin carrier and the palanquin passenger, Jadabharat concludes that the real living force is the living entity. The living entity is the offshoot or offspring of Lord Vishnu. Therefore, within this material world, among moving and non-moving things, the real principle is Lord Vishnu. Due to His presence, everything is working and there are actions and reactions. One who understands Lord Vishnu as the original cause of everything is to be understood to be perfectly situated in knowledge. Although he was falsely proud of being a king, King Rahugana was not really situated in knowledge. Therefore, he was rebuking the palanquin carriers, including the self-realized Brahmana Jadabharat. This is the first accusation Jadabharat made against the king, who was daring to talk to a learned Brahmana from the flimsy ground of ignorance, identifying everything with matter. King Rahugana argued that the living entity is within the body and that when the body is fatigued, the living entity within must therefore be suffering. It is clearly explained in the following verses that the living entity does not suffer due to the body's fatigue. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives an example of a child heavily decorated with ornaments. Although the child's body is very delicate, he does not feel fatigue, nor do the parents think that his ornaments should be taken away. The living entity has nothing to do with bodily pains and pleasures. These are simply mental concoctions. This statement that the living entity has nothing to do with bodily pains and pleasures, they are simply mental concoctions, is directly related to a verse in Bhagavad Gita. Anyway. which verse of Bhagavad Gita says that the living entity has nothing to do with bodily pains and pleasures, or not really nothing to do, but pain and pleasure is not so important. Yes. Mantra sparshasta kanteya sitoshna sukha dukkada agama bhaino nityastam stitiksha shvabhar. That's Krishna says that one should tolerate happiness and distress equally because they rise from sensory perception. They are just like the appearance and disappearance of seasons, and so should not be taken very seriously. An intelligent man will find the original cause of everything. So this is really important, and this is very instructive. Because the original cause of everything is Krishna. Again, Sarva Karana Karanam. And above, Srila Prabhupada, in the initial sentences of this purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that due to Vishnu's presence, everything is working, and there are actions and reactions. So ultimately, if we do an analytical study of things, of how things are happening, gross or subtle, we come to the understanding that ultimately it is Krishna and his energies that are causing everything. And therefore, a devotee tries to develop a mode of internal detachment. A devotee tries to develop a mode of trying to get rid of fault finding, trying to find the cause of everything troublesome happening in their life. So as soon as something bad or something troublesome, something challenging happens in the lives of it, in our lives, we generally tend to find the cause, who to blame, what went wrong. But what Jada Bharat says, or what Prabhupada is writing in the purport, that the living entity has nothing to do with bodily pains and pleasures. They are simply mental concoctions. An intelligent man will find the original cause of everything. So an intelligent person tries to find what caused this, initially, and comes to Krishna, because it is Krishna's energies that are guiding the entire world, guiding all actions and reactions. And therefore, what is the point of trying to blame, trying to find fault, trying to, waste time and energy in finding the cause of every little troublesome thing? Better to tolerate and move on. Material combinations and permutations may be a matter of fact in worldly dealings, but actually the living force, the soul, has nothing to do with them. So Prabhupada acknowledges that in worldly dealings, we may have to acknowledge that, or we may have to look at things in a way as this caused, this cause led to this effect. And so we are not trying to be impractical, that whatever happens, we become aloof and we don't blame anyone, we don't blame anything, and we simply move on. That is the internal mood that we are trying to develop, an internal mode of detachment from cause and effect. But externally, in our dealings, even in spiritual society, sometimes we have to find that cause. If someone is making blunders, someone is committing offenses, someone is committing mistakes, and especially if we are in a position to correct them, if we are an authority, or if we are a guru or something, or even if we are a friend, then in worldly dealings and external dealings, we try to correct them, we try to even blame. We want them to take responsibility for what they are doing. But internally, a devotee tries to see and understand that no one is the doer. Ultimately, Krishna and his energies are carrying out everything that's happening. Those who are materially upset take care of the body and manufacture Daridra Narayana, poor Narayana. So this is a coin termed by an Indian philosopher named Swami Vivekananda. He was very prominent in India in the previous century, in the 1900s, I think, or 1800s, I'm not sure. But he was an Indian philosopher, and he was traveling across India, and he saw many poor, backward class, lowly, suffering people. And he saw these poor people, and he came to this conclusion that these poor people are same as Narayana. And service to the poor means service to Krishna. He came with his own philosophy. And Prabhupada often rejects this philosophy. He says that just because the body is poor does not make them Krishna, or does not necessarily make them an object of service. Yes, we are compassionate, we try to help, but service to Krishna is something very high, very, very different from service of the poor. However, it is not a fact that the soul or super soul becomes poor simply because the body is poor. These are statements of ignorant people. The soul and super soul are always apart from bodily pleasure and pain. Next verse. Yes, ma'am.
It is a fact, however, that these innocent people carrying your palanquin without payment are certainly suffering due to this injustice. Their condition is very lamentable because you have forcibly engaged them in carrying your palanquin. This proves that you are cruel and unkind. Yet, due to false prestige, you were thinking that you were protecting the citizens. This is ludicrous. You were such a fool that you could not have been adored as a great man in an assembly of persons advanced in knowledge.
Yeah, Jada Bharat is being so heavy here, really, almost as if personally attacking the king. You are a fool. You cannot be adored as a great man in an assembly of intelligent persons advanced in knowledge. This is ludicrous. You are cruel. Using all this heavy language and with someone who is just trying to surrender, trying to understand. And so, is this okay for a guru or for a person, a spiritual master, a teacher to use such language? To be so heavy? Is it okay? Yes, it is. Yeah. So in this regard, I was reminded of this very wonderful and powerful not a statement, but a quote of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He wrote something in one of his essays on the topic of the guru being heavy or using harsh language with the disciple, with the student. And what he says is very instructive. So please listen carefully. Bhaktisiddhanta writes, "Without doubt, a sadhu's words possess power to destroy the evil propensities of one's mind. In this way, sadhus benefit everyone who associates with them. There are many things which we do not disclose to the sadhu. The real sadhu makes us speak out that which we have been keeping concealed in our hearts, and then applies the knife. The very word sadhu means only this. He stands at the block with the sacrificial knife in his raised hand. The sensuous desires of men are like goats. The sadhu stands there to kill those desires by the merciful stroke of the sharpened sacrificial knife in the form of unpleasant language. If the sadhu turns into my flatterer, then he does me harm. He becomes my enemy. If he flatters us, we will be led to the road which brings worldly enjoyment but no real well-being. He is a sadhu by contact with whom the weapon of his words can cause one to give up all mischievous behavior, all attachments to the non-absolute, and all mental conceptions. The aggressive pronouncement of the concrete truth is the crying necessity of the moment for silencing the aggressive propaganda of specific untruths that is being spread all over the world. So this is Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur speaking on the importance and the impact of a sadhu, a guru using unpleasant language for the disciple. It may not be very pleasing to the heart. In fact, it may be very displeasing and very hurtful, but it is needed for the disciple to listen, because otherwise it's very hard to deal with the ego, the strong ego and pride that we have, if we don't hear chastisement once in a while. Next verse.
All, all of us on the surface of the globe are living entities in different forms. Some of us are moving and some not moving. All of us come into existence, remain for some time, and are annihilated when the body is again mingled with the earth. We are all simply different transformations of the earth. Different bodies and capacities are simply transformations of the earth that exist in name only. For everything grows out of the earth, and when everything is annihilated, it again mingles with the earth. In other words, we are but dust, and we shall be but dust. Everyone can consider this point.
It reminds me of a quote by a poet. He says, "Everything we love is just well-arranged dust." And so Jada Bharat is trying to make the point that everything we perceive in this phenomenal world is nothing but a transformation of Krishna's energies ultimately, and nothing has real value. Nothing physical really has any value. Next verse.
One may say that varieties arise from the planet Earth itself. However, although the universe may temporarily appear to be the truth, it ultimately has no real existence. The Earth has originally created by a combination of automatic particles, but these particles are impermanent. Actually, the atom is the cause of the universe. Although some philosophers is not the cause of the universe. Although some philosophers think so, it is not a fact that the varieties found in this material world are simply result from the atomic juxtaposition or combination.
So modern science believes that this universe came into being from a singularity, a single atom, a singularity which had all the qualities and elements that we see in nature. And this singularity exploded and expanded and then manifested in this universe. But Prabhupada challenges in the purport that what caused that singularity? Even if we believe this explanation, then we understand, or we have to believe, that something caused that singularity, which is Krishna. Next verse. It's the last verse in today's discussion.
Since this universe has no real ultimate existence, the things within it, shortness, differences, grossness, skinniness, smallness, bigness, result, cause, living symptoms, and materials are all imagined. They are all pots made of the same substance, earth, but they are named differently. The differences are characterized by the substance, nature, predisposition, time, and activity. You should know that all these are simply mechanical manifestations created by material nature.
Yes, so Jala is again stressing on the point that everything we perceive through our senses is nothing but transformation of Krishna's energies. And therefore, all these instructions are ultimately meant to make us detached from matter, make us be situated in our existence, our reality as the soul. And not only that, but not only become detached from matter, not only become detached from cause and effect, but try to seek that original eternal person behind, or the cause of all causes, behind all this material manifestation, which is Krishna. So a devotee's goal is not simply detachment, but attachment to Krishna. And that is what Jada Bharat is trying to bring Rahugana to. Krishna is the puppet master of this entire cosmic manifestation. And therefore he is to be seeked behind everything that we see. So thank you very much. This was our today's discussion. Thank you for listening patiently and attentively. And we have some time for questions and comments. Thank you. Yes, Mother Kunti.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Nartan Prabhu, for a very organized class and very perceptive. The question of God is that feeling one gets when being chastised by the spiritual master. I was in a circumstance in Houston a few years ago, and this is my Shiksha Guru actually had to chastise me. And it was very, very painful. And I just felt that rending of the heart. But what is that rending of the heart? Is it actually just the false ego? Is that what's going on?
Yes, I think that is my understanding from what I've read is when a guru chastises us, I think Prabhupada mentioned it a few times, it is actually a cause of pleasure because we see someone take interest in us. Because no random person will chastise us, right? If a person does not have a relationship with us, then they would not take the effort to actually correct us. So just the fact that the person is trying to correct us or chastise us means that they care about us. And it is a cause of pleasure that they are actually taking interest in our growth and trying to correct us because they feel that they have that relationship with us, which makes them, which allows them to do that. And so if we still feel some pain, then that is some lingering ego or just, yes, just, yeah. That's it. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you for the very nice class, Prabhu. I was reflecting on, we grew up in this community with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and he had a reputation of being very heavy at times and definitely didn't shy away from chastising when needed. But also what I noticed is that he had such a personal relationship with each and every devotee.
Yeah.
He really knew that person so well, and he also gave them a lot of love. And so sometimes I think that maybe that the relationship is not always cultivated before the chastisement is given. And I think that's sometimes when it can become very painful or difficult for somebody if there's not that that understanding of what's really needed, and also that we are in a position to chastise somebody else, that we've actually purified ourselves to that point of being able to do that. Because just some thoughts.
Yeah. No, that's very true. Did you want to add something, Prabhu?
No, I just wanted to say, right at this very spot, 23 years ago, Tamal Krishna Goswami's very last Vyasa Puja, he chastised me so intensely. I was about to leave, and he called me to it. said, "This is my Vyasa Puja, and you're upset, and I don't want you to be upset on my Vyasa Puja day. If you're upset, I'll be upset. You don't want me to be upset on my Vyasa Puja day, do you?" So he had given me an impossible instruction. I had never said no to him before, and he threw me out of his room. And then he called me here for all the devotees before the start of his Vyasa Puja. He explained everything. I will never forget that moment 23 years ago. It was my last personal exchange. He was so merciful to have put me in my place.
Yeah. Wonderful, Prabhu. Thanks for sharing that story. And Prabhu, you bring a wonderful point. It's about relationship, is that it's extremely important that two people have a relationship, or that sort of relationship where chastisement can be offered and accepted. Otherwise, it won't be respected, it won't be accepted, and it is, just uncalled for. And we can tell many times that when a person chastises us, is it from a place of love and care, or is it just for the sake of being heavy, or just for the sake of trying to promote the right thing, or from a place of ego even, that someone chastises us because they are offended and then they are chastising us. And we see in the example of Tamal Krishna Goswami and Srila Prabhupada that all the chastisement they offered has always been for service, and has always been for the benefit of the person who is receiving that. It has never been out of ego or out of malice in their heart. It has always been, because we see situations where Prabhupada was heavily offended actually, but he did not chastise, he did not say anything. There was once, he was here and he built all the temples, and he was once traveling to one place in US, I don't remember which temple, and he called the temple president, which he appointed. And he said that, "I'm visiting, can I stay for a few days?" And the temple president says, "I will have to check with the devotees here if you can stay or not." Prabhupada emailed or called in advance. This is in Prabhupada Leelamrita. He emailed or called in advance out of his humility. He said that, not email, but like, some form of communication. That's not important, but then, yes. And he said that, "I'm visiting this city and can I stay in the temple for a few days?" And the person said that, "I will have to check with the management." And Prabhupada was with his servant at the time. And when he received that message, he said that, "See, these things are going on. What can I say?" So he was very humble. He did not chastise when he was offended, but he would chastise definitely when he saw that the person needed chastisement for their growth and for their service. So relationship must be had, and the person should be willing to accept that. Very, very important. Yes, Prabhu.
At another point, when Gurudev chastised me really heavy, he said to me, "The reason I'm so heavy with you is that Srila Prabhupada was very heavy with me."
Right. If Tamal Krishna Goswami did not love his disciples, then how do we see that today they have so much love for him, and they are so deeply driven 20 years later, even still much more driven than the new generation, so much driven in their love, in their service, just for that love that he gave all of them. So yeah, they deeply love him. Yes. Yeah, exactly. And they are full of love. Yeah, exactly. Any other? Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you for a good class. I said this before, but I just, it was something that was helpful for me. It was Nityananda Prabhu who told me once that when someone criticizes you, it's Krishna wanting to make you uncomfortable because he misses you and wants you to come home.
Can you repeat that last sentence?
He said that if someone criticizes you, it's Krishna wanting you to be uncomfortable because he misses you and he wants you to come home.
He misses you, yes. Yeah, often in the lives of devotees, we see that challenges and troubles increase, suffering increases, because Krishna wants us to go through all purification very soon so that we can go back. Yeah, it's true. Ajit Prabhu.
Just a little quote to add on to this. I really like this one. I'm not sure where it came from. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. Important, like we were talking about, that there's a relationship there. Or else you wonder, like, is he thinking he's better than me? Is he trying to put me down so he can feel higher? You have to get the sense that they care about you, you know?
Yeah. Okay. We will end here. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.
It's like people who make like soothing like sounds. Like
Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama